The massive doors of the council chamber opened with a deep rumble that echoed through the crystal halls of Kepler Prime. Captain Jake Morrison straightened his uniform and walked forward, his boots clicking against the polished floor. Behind him, Dr. Lisa Hayes and Commander Rick Taylor followed in silence. The three humans looked small in the enormous chamber that stretched up into darkness above them. 12 different alien species sat in a circle around the chamber floor. Each delegation occupied a section designed for their unique biology. The Zilithians floated in their crystal pods, their bodies made of living light that pulsed with different colors. The Hydros representatives rested in pools of their home, world's salty water, their tentacles moving slowly in the current. The insect-like Vex delegates clicked their mandibles together in what Jake had learned was their version of quiet conversation. At the center of the circle stood a single platform, where the three humans were meant to wait for the Council's decision. Jake had been here before, 3 months ago, when Earth first presented its case for joining the galactic community. That day had been filled with hope and excitement. Today felt very different. The lead Zilithian, whose name translated roughly to Speaker of Truth, began to glow brighter. When it spoke, its voice came through the translation devices that all species used in the chamber. The words were clear and cold. The Galactic Council has completed its study of the species known as humans from the planet Earth. We have examined your history, your behavior, and your nature. We have watched your actions and studied your minds. The decision has been reached. Jake felt his heart beating faster. Dr. Hayes moved closer to him, her face pale but determined. Commander Taylor kept his expression calm, though Jake could see the tension in his shoulders. The human species shows patterns of behavior that make them unsuitable for membership in civilized galactic society. Your history is filled with violence, war, and destruction. Your emotions are unstable and unpredictable. Your aggressive nature poses a threat to the peace we have maintained for over 2,000 years. A delegate from the Luminar Federation, beings made of pure energy, added their voice to the judgment. In the past century alone, humans have fought 2 global wars that killed millions of their own kind. They have created weapons capable of destroying their entire planet. They show no ability to control their violent impulses. The Hydros representative spoke next, their watery voice bubbling through their translator. Our behavioral specialists have concluded that humans cannot be trusted to follow galactic law. They are too quick to anger, too ready to fight, and too willing to put their own interests above the common good. Dr. Hayes stepped forward, her voice steady despite the crushing weight of the Council's words. Honorable delegates, humanity has also shown great capacity for growth and change. Yes, we have a violent past, but we have also created beautiful art, made incredible scientific discoveries, and shown great compassion for those in need. We have the potential to contribute much to galactic civilization. The Speaker of Truth's light dimmed slightly. Your potential for good is noted, Dr. Hayes. However, your potential for harm is far greater. The Council cannot risk the peace and stability of the galaxy for the uncertain promise of human improvement. Commander Taylor took a step forward. What exactly are you saying? Are you refusing Earth's membership application? The chamber fell silent except for the quiet sounds of the various alien delegates, the clicking of Vex mandibles, the splash of Hydros tentacles, the hum of Luminar energy fields. The Speaker of Truth began to glow brighter again. The Galactic Council hereby declares the human species to be exiled from all Council space, effective immediately. No human vessel may travel beyond a 50 light-year radius from your home system. Any human ship found beyond this boundary will be considered a threat and will be destroyed without warning. Jake felt the words hit him, like a physical blow. Exile. Not just refused membership, but banned entirely from the galaxy they had dreamed of exploring. Automated sentinel stations are being deployed around your solar system as we speak, continued the speaker. These stations will monitor all traffic and enforce the exclusion zone. You will be permitted to develop within your own system, but you may not expand beyond it. Dr. Hayes's voice cracked slightly as she spoke. You're putting us in a cage. You're treating us like dangerous animals. Because that is what you are. replied a vexed delegate, its translator making its voice sound sharp and metallic. Your species has shown that when faced with competition or conflict, you choose violence. We will not allow you to bring that violence to the peaceful worlds of the galaxy. The three humans stood in stunned silence as the full weight of the decision settled on them. Everything they had worked for, all their hopes for humanity's future among the stars, had just been crushed. Commander Taylor was the first to speak again. How long does this exile last? What would we need to do to prove ourselves worthy of reconsideration? The speaker of truth's light flickered, and what Jake had learned was the Zilithian equivalent of a sad smile. There is no timeline for reconsideration, Commander. This decision is permanent. Humanity will remain confined to its home system indefinitely. As if responding to some unseen signal, armed guards from several different species began moving toward the platform. They were not threatening, but the message was clear. The humans were to leave immediately. Jake, Lisa, and Rick walked back through the crystal halls of Kepler Prime in silence. Their ship, the ESV Endeavour, waited for them in the orbital docking station. As they boarded, Jake could see through the viewports the dark shapes of the Sentinel stations being moved into position around the edge of Council space. The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks. During that time, the three humans barely spoke. They sent regular reports back to Earth Command, but there was little to say beyond the basic facts. Humanity had been judged, found wanting, and exiled from the galaxy. Admiral Kate Williams was waiting for them when they arrived at Luna Station, the command center for Earth's small deep space fleet. She was a stern woman in her 50s who had commanded humanity's first exploration missions beyond the solar system. Now she would command a fleet that was forbidden to leave home. I've already received the preliminary reports, she said, as the 3 delegates sat in her office overlooking Earth's blue marble hanging in space. The Council has made their decision clear. The question now is what we do about it. Jake looked up from the report he had been writing. What can we do? They have us surrounded. Any ship that tries to leave the exclusion zone will be destroyed. Admiral. Williams walked to the viewport and stared out at the stars. The Council thinks they know humanity. They think they understand what we're capable of. They see our past and assume it defines our future. She turned back to face them. They've made one critical mistake. They think that exile will keep us from becoming the threat they fear we might become. But they don't understand human nature as well as they think they do. Commander Taylor frowned. What do you mean? The Admiral smiled grimly. They think they're protecting the galaxy from us. What they've actually done is give us time and motivation to become everything they were afraid we might be. They want to keep us caged like animals, fine. But they should remember that even caged animals can grow stronger, smarter, and more dangerous. Dr. Hayes looked up from her own report. You're talking about preparing for war. I'm talking about preparing for survival, Williams replied. The Council has made it clear that humanity will never be welcome in their galaxy, so perhaps it's time we started thinking about making our own galaxy instead. Outside the viewport, Earth turned slowly in the darkness, unaware that its children had just been cast out from the community of worlds. But in the depths of space, human minds were already beginning to work on the problem of how to turn exile into opportunity, and how to transform rejection into the foundation of something far greater than the Council could imagine. 5 years had passed since the Council's judgment. Earth looked the same from space, but everything had changed. In hidden facilities across the moon and asteroid belt, humanity worked with a purpose that burned brighter than any star. Dr. Sam. Rodriguez wiped sweat from his forehead as he stepped back from the massive device humming in the underground laboratory on Ceres Station. The machine was the size of a small building, filled with components that shouldn't exist according to known physics. But it did exist, and it worked. Run the test again, he called to his assistant, engineer Amy Collins. She nodded and activated the controls. A small drone appeared on the screen, clearly visible to all sensors. Then Amy pressed another button, and the drone vanished completely. Perfect stealth signature, she reported. No energy readings, no mass detection, no thermal, Signature. It's like the drone doesn't exist. Sam smiled for the first time in weeks. After 5 years of work, they had finally solved the problem that would make everything else possible. Human ships could now become invisible to Council sensors. Meanwhile, in another part of the station, Amy Collins worked on an equally important breakthrough. Her team had been studying the drive systems captured from the few Council ships that had ventured too close to the exclusion zone. What they discovered changed everything. The Council's faster-than-light drives leave energy signatures that can be tracked for weeks, Amy explained to the gathered scientists. Their ships are like cars driving down a muddy road, leaving tracks everywhere they go. But our new design is different. She activated a holographic display showing the new drive system. Our ships will slip through space like ghosts. No tracks, no signatures, no way for the Council to know we were ever there. Captain Dan Foster stood in the command center of the HSV Phoenix, humanity's first stealth ship. Around him, his crew, prepared for a mission that would either mark the beginning of humanity's return to the stars or end with their deaths in deep space. All systems ready, Captain, reported pilot Sarah Blake. Her hands moved smoothly over the controls, running through final checks. Stealth system is online and functioning perfectly. Communications Officer Tony Martinez looked up from his station. I'm monitoring all Council frequencies. No patrol activity detected in our target area. Weapons Specialist Linda Grant patted the side panel of her station. All weapons are charged and ready. If we run into trouble, we can fight our way out. Captain, Foster nodded. Remember, people, we're not just going on a scouting mission. We're taking the first step toward giving humanity a future among the stars. Everything we've worked for depends on what happens in the next few hours. The Phoenix slipped past the Sentinel stations like a shadow in the night. The automated guards that had kept humanity trapped for 5 years never detected the ship as it crossed the exclusion zone boundary. For the first time since the exile, humans were free among the stars. 3 days later, the Phoenix arrived at a star system that Council surveys had marked as uninhabitable. The planets were too cold, the resources too scattered, the location too remote for civilized species to bother with. It was perfect for humanity's needs. Look at that, Sarah Blake whispered as they approached the third planet. It was a frozen world covered in ice and snow, but the scanners showed vast mineral deposits beneath the surface. It's not pretty, but it has everything we need. Captain Foster smiled. Start looking for a good spot to land. We're going to build humanity's first free colony in 5 years. The construction of New Boston began immediately, ships disguised, as asteroids drifted through space for months before arriving at the hidden world. Each vessel carried not just colonists, but everything needed to build a civilization from scratch. Governor Pete Johnson stood in the control room of the underground city they were carving out of the frozen planet's surface. Around him, screens showed the progress of dozens of construction projects, fusion power plants, manufacturing facilities, hydroponic farms, and communication arrays all taking shape beneath the ice. The shipyard is ahead of schedule, reported engineer Maria Santos. We'll have our first locally built vessel ready for testing within 6 months. Dr. Ben Clark looked up from his geological surveys. The mineral deposits are even richer than we hoped. We have enough raw materials here to supply a dozen worlds. Governor Johnson nodded with satisfaction. Good, because we're going to need them. Admiral Williams has approved the expansion to Phase 2. We're going to build not just one hidden world, but an entire network. Back in the solar system, Admiral Kate Williams commanded the Shadow Fleet from a mobile command center that moved constantly through the asteroid belt. The Council thought humanity was still trapped and helpless. They had no idea that human ships were already spreading across the galaxy. Intelligence Officer Grace Lee managed a network of automated listening posts that had been secretly placed throughout Council space. The tiny devices were invisible to alien sensors but provided constant information about Council ship movements and communications. The Vex are planning a survey mission to the Outer Rim, she reported during the daily briefing. 3 ships, lightly armed, scheduled to depart. In 2 weeks, Admiral Williams studied the star charts. That's close to our new Seattle site. We can't let them discover Captain Andy Walsh's colony. I'll dispatch a shadow squadron to intercept them, offered Commander Julie Thompson. We can make it look like they encountered pirates or equipment failure. Do it, Williams ordered. But remember the rules. No survivors, no evidence, no way for the Council to trace the attack back to us. The Shadow War had begun without the Council even realizing it. Ships disappeared without explanation. Survey missions went silent. Patrol routes that had been safe for centuries suddenly became dangerous. Captain Steve Murray finished installing the last components of New Phoenix's orbital defense system. The hidden weapons platforms looked like space debris from a distance, but they packed enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. That should keep any unwanted visitors away, he told his construction crew. If the Council stumbles across us, they're in for a very unpleasant surprise. Meanwhile, Captain Jim Brooks and his reconnaissance ship discovered something troubling in the Centauri sector. A Vex patrol was investigating what their reports called gravitational anomalies near one of humanity's mining operations. They're getting suspicious, he reported to Admiral Williams. They don't know what they're looking for yet, but they're starting to ask the right questions. Dr. Rachel Evans, now heading Humanity's Intelligence Division, studied the reports with growing concern. Complete secrecy was always going to be temporary. The question is whether we'll be ready when they finally figure out what's happening. Admiral Williams looked at the holographic display showing humanity's expanding network of hidden worlds. 47 colonies, each specializing in different aspects of their growing empire. Shipbuilding centers, research facilities, mining operations, and agricultural worlds, all connected by an invisible network of stealth ships. We've built something incredible in just 5 years, she said. The Council exiled us to keep us weak and contained. Instead, they gave us the freedom to become everything they feared we might be. Grace Lee highlighted several areas on the display where Council activity was increasing. Our expansion is creating ripples they can't ignore much longer. Ships and colonies going missing. New gravitational signatures appearing in empty space. Energy readings that don't match any known technology. Then it's time to move to the next phase, Williams decided. We've spent 5 years hiding and building, in secret. Now we need to start thinking about what happens when the secret gets out. On New Terra, General Matt Stone oversaw the training of humanity's first generation of spaceborne soldiers. These men and women had never seen Earth, but they carried the dream of human freedom in their hearts. The Council thinks we're still the same species they exiled 5 years ago, he told his troops. They're about to learn that exile doesn't make you weaker. It makes you stronger, hungrier, and more determined than you ever thought possible. Captain Lisa Torres led her Ghost Squadron through combat exercises among the asteroids near New Boston. Her pilots flew ships that existed only as whispers and shadows, appearing just long enough to deliver death before vanishing back into the void. The Council wanted to keep humanity caged, she said over the squadron's communication channel. But they forgot that even caged animals can sharpen their claws, and when the cage finally breaks, they'll be ready to hunt. The Underground Railroad, that had started with a single stealth ship, had grown into something the Council could never have imagined. Humanity's hidden empire spanned 300 million people across dozens of worlds, all connected by ships that moved unseen through the darkness between stars. But in the deep monitoring stations hidden throughout Council space, automated sensors were beginning to detect patterns that didn't fit, ships that weren't there, worlds that shouldn't exist, energy signatures from empty space. The secret that had protected humanity's growth for 5 years was starting to crack. Soon the Council would discover that the species they had exiled to protect the galaxy had used that exile to build something far more dangerous than they had ever feared. Commander Alex Turner's reconnaissance ship drifted silently through the outer rim, its stealth systems making it invisible to any watching eyes. For 3 days, he had been tracking a Vex patrol that was investigating what their reports called unusual gravitational readings in human-controlled space. They're getting too close to New Seattle, his pilot whispered, checking the navigation display. The 3 Vex ships were moving steadily toward Captain Andy Walsh's hidden colony, their insect crews unaware that human eyes were watching their every move. Alex activated his secure communication system. Shadow Command, this is Ghost 7. The bugs are heading straight for Andy's people. They'll discover the colony within 6 hours if we don't stop them. Dr. Rachel Evans's voice crackled through the encrypted channel from her intelligence center. Confirmed, Ghost 7. You are authorized to eliminate the threat. Make it look like an accident. Alex nodded to his weapons officer. Arm plasma torpedoes. We're going to give those Vex ships some equipment problems they won't survive. The attack was swift and deadly. Alex's ship appeared from nowhere, fired 3 precise shots, and vanished back into the void before the Vex even knew they were under attack. To any investigating patrol, it would look like the ship suffered catastrophic engine failures in deep space. Similar incidents were happening across the galaxy. Council ships disappeared without explanation. Survey teams went silent. Patrol, routes that had been safe for centuries, suddenly became graveyards for alien vessels. In the council chambers on Kepler Prime, the various species gathered in emergency session. The Zilithian speaker of truth glowed with agitation as reports poured in from across their territory. 17 ships lost in the past month, reported the Hydros delegate, his tentacles writhing with anxiety. All in different sectors, all, without sending distress signals. Our investigation teams find only debris and radiation signatures. The Vex representative clicked his mandibles in distress. Our hive mind has lost contact with 3 exploration fleets. The silence is disturbing. We sense fear from our workers before the connection is severed. These cannot be random accidents, declared the Luminar energy being. The pattern suggests coordinated attacks by an unknown hostile force. Someone is hunting our ships. The speaker of truth dimmed thoughtfully. But who? We have maintained peace with all known species for over 1,000 years. There are no enemies capable of such widespread attacks. Meanwhile, on New Terra, General Matt Stone stood before a holographic display showing the locations of every successful human strike. Red dots marked where council ships had been eliminated, creating a clear pattern around humanity's hidden territories. The Phantom War is working exactly as planned, he told his staff. The council is too busy suspecting each other to realize that their old enemies from Earth are responsible. Captain Lisa Torres walked into the briefing room, still wearing her flight suit after returning from a successful mission. Her Ghost Squadron had just eliminated a Hydros research vessel that had been scanning too close to the New Detroit system. The aquatic types were easy targets, she reported. Their ships are built for exploration, not combat. We destroyed them before they could even charge their weapons. General Stone nodded with satisfaction. Excellent work, but we're moving into the next phase. The Council is starting to increase patrols and security measures. We need to hit them, harder and faster. Admiral Doug Harris had taken command of the Shadow Fleet as it grew into a massive force. From his flagship, the HSV Retribution, he coordinated attacks across 12 sectors simultaneously. His ships struck like ghosts, appearing from the void to deliver death before vanishing without a trace. Intelligence reports that the Council is planning a major investigation fleet, he told his squadron commanders during their secure briefing. 300 ships from all member species, equipped with the most advanced sensors they have. Captain Roy Bell, commander of the stealth destroyer HSV Nemesis, leaned forward. Are they getting close to discovering our colonies? Not yet, Harris replied. But they're asking the right questions. Grace Lee's listening posts have intercepted communications suggesting they know the attacks are coordinated. They just don't know by whom. Dr. Amy Collins had been working on New Ship, designs in her hidden research facility. Her latest creation was a monster, a stealth dreadnought the size of a city that could appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. The HSV Devastator is ready for field testing, she reported to Admiral Williams. It carries enough firepower to destroy an entire Council battle group, and they'll never see it coming. Admiral Williams studied the technical specifications with amazement. How many of these can we build? We have the resources for 12, Amy replied. Each one will be commanded by our best captains and crewed by volunteers who understand they may never return home. The Shadow War escalated as human forces began targeting larger and more important Council installations. Captain Phil Gray led a daring raid on a Hydros naval base. his squadron of stealth ships slipping past the defenses to destroy the entire facility. To the survivors, it appeared that their own weapons had malfunctioned catastrophically. Commander Janet Lee struck at a Vex staging area in the Hive Nebula, eliminating an entire fleet that was preparing to investigate human territories. The attack was so swift and devastating that the Vex hive mind lost contact with over 10,000 workers in a matter of minutes. On Kepler Prime, panic was beginning to spread through the council chambers. The various species were starting to accuse each other of breaking the ancient peace treaties. "The Hydros have always been jealous of our crystal technology," claimed one Zilithian delegate. "Perhaps they decided to eliminate our research vessels to steal our secrets." The Hydros representative responded angrily, his translator crackling with emotion. "We would never break the peace. Your energy weapons could easily be used to destroy our deep space facilities." The Vex delegate clicked, his mandibles aggressively. "Both your species have motives for attacking our exploration fleets. The Hive remembers all slights, no matter how old." As the council species turned on each other, humanity's hidden empire continued to grow. New worlds were colonized every month, protected by increasingly sophisticated defenses. The stealth shipyards worked around the clock, building vessels that incorporated captured council technology with human innovations. Intelligence Chief Grace Lee's network had expanded to cover most of council space. Her automated listening posts provided constant updates on alien ship movements, political developments, and military preparations. "The council is mobilizing their largest fleet in centuries," she reported to the human leadership. "They're calling it the Great Investigation, a massive force designed to find and eliminate whatever is causing the phantom attacks." Admiral Williams studied the intelligence reports with growing concern. "How long before they trace the attacks back to us?" "Not long," Rachel Evans admitted. "Our strikes are becoming bolder, and we're leaving more evidence behind. Some of the alien survivors are starting to report seeing ships that don't match any known council designs. Captain Jim Brooks had experienced this firsthand during his last mission. While eliminating a Zilithian patrol, one of the alien ships had managed to get a partial sensor reading of his vessel before being destroyed. They got a glimpse of our hull configuration," he reported. "It wasn't much, but combined with similar incidents across the galaxy, they're starting to build a picture of our technology." The Shadow War was reaching its peak. Human forces had eliminated over 300 council vessels without suffering a single loss. But the cost of success was exposure. Each attack left traces that alien investigators could analyze and study. General Stone stood in his command center, watching displays that showed human forces engaging council patrols across the galaxy. "We've proven that humanity can fight and win against any species in the galaxy, but we can't hide forever." Admiral Harris's latest raid had been his most ambitious yet. His stealth fleet had struck simultaneously at 17 different targets, eliminating council presence across an entire sector in a single coordinated attack. "The aliens are calling it Black Tuesday," he reported. "They lost more ships in one day than they had in the previous century, but they also collected more sensor data about our vessels than ever before." Captain Torres returned from another successful mission with troubling news. "The council is adapting their tactics. They're starting to travel in larger groups with better sensors and more aggressive patrol patterns. The hunting is getting harder." Dr. Rodriguez had been monitoring council communications from his secret laboratory. "They're scared," he reported. "For the first time in their history, the council species are facing an enemy they can't see, can't predict, and can't defeat. They're starting to panic." But panic made the aliens more dangerous, not less. The Great Investigation Fleet was assembling at Kepler Prime, hundreds of ships from all council species, armed with sensors designed to detect even the most advanced stealth systems. Admiral Williams called an emergency meeting of all human commanders. From her flagship, she addressed the leaders of humanity's hidden empire through secure channels. "The Shadow War has served its purpose," she announced. "We've weakened the council, divided their forces, and proven our superiority in combat. But the time for hiding is almost over. Soon they'll discover our colonies, and when they do, we need to be ready for open war. Captain Morrison, who had witnessed humanity's exile 10 years earlier, now commanded one of the most advanced ships in the Shadow Fleet. "Are we ready for that kind of conflict?" he asked. Williams smiled grimly. "The Council exiled us because they thought we were too dangerous for civilized space. They were right to be afraid. The Shadow War was just the beginning. Now they're going to learn what happens when you corner a species that has nothing left to lose and everything to gain." The phantom attacks continued, but human forces were preparing for something much larger. The secret empire that had grown in exile was about to reveal itself to a galaxy that thought humanity was still trapped in their home system. The Council's worst fears were about to become reality. Governor Bill Hayes stood on the observation deck of New Dallas, watching the Zilithian research fleet approach his hidden world. For 15 years, this moment had been humanity's greatest fear. Now it had finally arrived. "Sir, we have 3 Zilithian ships entering the outer system," reported Dr. Sue Parker from the colony's command center. "They're running deep scans of everything. There's no way they'll miss us." Bill closed his eyes for a moment, thinking of the 50,000 colonists who had made New Dallas their home. These people had been born free among the stars, never knowing the cage that Earth had become. He would not let them be dragged back into exile. "Contact Admiral Williams," he ordered. "Tell her the secret is out. And activate all defense systems. If they want to take our world, they'll have to fight for it." The Zilithian research vessel Cosmic Truth was the most advanced ship in their fleet, equipped with sensors that could detect a grain of sand in deep space. Captain Zeth Prime had been investigating the phantom attacks for months, following a trail of evidence that led to this remote system. "Impossible," whispered his science officer as the scanners revealed what lay before them. "There's a fully developed human colony here. Cities, orbital stations, defense platforms. How long have they been here?" Captain Zeth Prime's crystal body pulsed with shock. "The humans were exiled 15 years ago. The Council has monitored their home system constantly. They never left. How could they have built this?" The answer came in the form of energy signatures, appearing all around them. 30 human warships materialized from nothing, their stealth systems deactivating as they surrounded the alien vessels. The Zilithians found themselves facing weapons that could turn their ships into cosmic dust. "Captain," Joe Reed commanded the human fleet from his flagship, the HSV Liberation. He opened a communication channel to the trapped Zilithian ships. "Alien vessels, you have entered human territory without permission. Surrender immediately, or be destroyed." Captain Zeth Prime responded with confusion rather than fear. "Human territory? This is impossible. Your species was confined to your home system. You cannot have ships this advanced or colonies this large." Joe Reed smiled coldly. "You were wrong about many things, alien. You thought exile would keep us weak. Instead, it made us strong. You thought caging us would make us safe to ignore. Instead, it gave us time to become everything you feared we might be." The Battle of New Dallas lasted exactly 17 minutes. The Zilithian research ships were destroyed completely, but not before sending a desperate message back to Kepler Prime. The secret that humanity had protected for 15 years was finally broken. In the council chambers, panic spread like fire as the impossible message was received. The Speaker of Truth's crystal form flickered with disbelief as he read the final transmission from the Cosmic Truth. "Massive human colony discovered. Advanced technology beyond Council standards. Orbital defenses. Battle fleet. Humans have escaped. Confinement. Request immediate military response." The Hydro's delegates' tentacles writhed in terror. "This cannot be true. We have watched their system constantly. No ships have left. The Sentinels would have detected any attempts to break the exclusion zone." The Vex representative clicked his mandibles rapidly. "The phantom attacks, the missing ships, the unknown enemy. It was them. It was the humans all along." President Nancy Ford stood before the cameras in the Capitol building of New Dallas, addressing not just the colony but the entire hidden human empire. Behind her, the wreckage of Zilithian ships burned in the planet's atmosphere like falling stars. Citizens of humanity's free worlds, she began, her voice carrying across 60 colonies and 300 million people. For 15 years we have lived in the shadows, building our strength in secret. Today that secrecy ends. The Council knows we are here. They know we are strong. And they know their greatest fears have come true. She paused, looking directly into the camera. We were exiled from their galaxy because they thought we were too dangerous. They were right. But the danger was never to innocent worlds or peaceful peoples. The danger was to their authority, their control, their belief that they could decide humanity's fate. Admiral Doug Harris received the order he had been waiting for his entire career. Operation Starbreak was finally authorized. Across human space, the Shadow Fleet prepared for the largest military action in galactic history. All ships, this is Fleet Admiral Harris, he broadcast to every human vessel. The time for hiding is over. Today, we announce to the galaxy that humanity has returned to the stars, and we're here to stay. The coordinated assault began simultaneously across 12 sectors. Human fleets that had been invisible for years suddenly appeared throughout Council space, striking at military bases, shipyards, and command centers. Captain Phil Gray led the attack on Oceanus Prime, the main Hydro's naval facility. His fleet of stealth destroyers emerged from the void like vengeful spirits, their weapons lighting up the aquatic world's orbital defenses. For 15 years of exile, he shouted as his ships opened fire. For every human who dreamed of the stars. The Hydro's defenders never had a chance. Their ships were designed for exploration and research, not warfare against an enemy that had spent years studying their weaknesses. The entire base was destroyed in less than an hour. Commander Janet Lee struck at the Vex staging area in the Hive Nebula with equal success. Her ships used advanced human weapons to tear through the insect fleet like paper. The Vex hive mind screamed in terror as thousands of their workers died in the space of minutes. On Kepler Prime, the Council members watched in horror as reports flooded in from across their territory. Everywhere, human ships were appearing from nowhere to destroy their forces with impossible efficiency. 17 bases destroyed, reported the Luminar delegate, his energy form flickering with panic. Over 200 ships lost. They're attacking everything simultaneously. The Zilithian speaker of truth struggled to comprehend what was happening. Where did they get so many ships? How did they build such an advanced fleet without us knowing? Fleet Admiral Kate Williams had the answer. Her massive fleet appeared in the Kepler system like a nightmare made real. Hundreds of human warships, led by the mighty dreadnought HSV Retribution, surrounded the Council's homeworld. Attention, Galactic Council, she broadcast on all frequencies. This is Fleet Admiral Kate Williams of the Human Star Empire. You exiled us 15 years ago because you feared what we might become. Today your fears are realized. The Council's defense fleet moved to intercept the human armada, but they were hopelessly outmatched. Human weapons, refined through years of secret warfare, tore through alien shields like they were made of tissue paper. Captain Jake Morrison, who had stood in the Council chambers as a young diplomat during humanity's exile, now commanded the advanced cruiser HSV Vindication. He watched with satisfaction as the alien ships that had once seemed so powerful fell before human firepower. This is for every human child who was told they could never see the stars, he said as his weapons destroyed a Zilithian battleship. This is for every dream you tried to kill with your exile. The Battle of Kepler Prime ended with complete human victory. The Council's fleet was destroyed, their orbital defenses reduced to scrap metal. But Admiral Williams had not come to conquer the Council world. She had come to deliver a message. Standing once again in the great Council chamber where humanity's exile had been pronounced, Jake Morrison faced the assembled alien delegates. But this time, he was not asking for anything. He was telling them how things would be. The human exile is over, he announced to the shocked aliens. Not because you have forgiven us, but because we no longer need your forgiveness. We have built our own empire among the stars. We have proven ourselves in battle. We have taken our place in the galaxy by force. The speaker of truth's light was dim with defeat. What do you want from us? Jake smiled. Recognition. The human star empire now controls 60 star systems and commands fleets that have proven superior to your own. You will acknowledge our sovereignty over our territories. You will respect our borders. And you will never again try to tell humanity where we can and cannot go. The Hydro's delegates' tentacles trembled. And if we refuse? Admiral Williams stepped forward, her uniform bearing the insignia of an empire that had risen from exile. Then you will learn what happened to the Vex homeworld 3 hours ago. Captain Torres's fleet just finished demonstrating human firepower to their capital city. There's not much left of it. The council chamber fell silent except for the terrified breathing of various alien species. The beings who had once judged humanity as too dangerous for civilization now faced the reality of what that danger could accomplish. You exiled us to protect your peaceful galaxy, Williams continued. But you made a critical error. You assumed that exile would make us weaker. Instead, it freed us from your rules, your limits, your idea of what we should be. You gave us the motivation to become everything you feared. President Ford's image appeared on screens throughout the galaxy as she addressed both human and alien worlds. The Council tried to cage humanity because they thought we were dangerous. They were right. But the danger was never to peace or civilization. The danger was to anyone who thought they could decide our destiny for us. The treaty was signed within hours. The Galactic Council officially recognized the human star empire as the galaxy's 13th major power. Humanity's exclusion zone became humanity's sovereign territory, expanded to include all the worlds they had secretly colonized. Captain Morrison stood once more on the observation deck of a human ship, but this time he was watching Earth rise before him as he returned home in triumph. The planet that had been isolated for 15 years was finally free to rejoin its children among the stars. The Council had exiled Earth's people to keep them contained. Instead, they had given humanity the greatest gift possible, the freedom to prove that no cage could hold the human spirit, and no force in the galaxy could prevent them from claiming their destiny among the stars. The exile was over. The empire had begun.